I'm soon going to be launching the Patients Getting Paid online course that will teach you how to get paid because of your illness, not despite it. Are you interested in doing patient advocacy work, but you don't know where to start? Want to learn about how to find online remote gigs or learn to create your own? I wish somebody would have created this roadmap for me. I spent a lot of time and energy and money figuring it all out. I want you to be able to leapfrog over all that stuff and get to the good stuff, getting paid for sharing your story. In my new course, Patients Getting Paid, I'll be sharing my experience and my resources on how to create an income online that lets me take good care of myself. Want to learn how I did it? Want a list of resources, places to look for online gigs, and templated emails with what to say? It's in there. Want to hear about tons of different ways you can actually build a business while taking better care of yourself? It's in there. Want to be included in a database of chronic illness warriors so your contact info can be shared when opportunities for your disease come my way? Then get on the waiting list for Patients Getting Paid and be the first to know when it launches. Sign up now at patientsgettingpaid.com/list. Welcome to the FUMS Now podcast show, where you'll gain information, inspiration, and motivation for living your best life with multiple sclerosis. Find us online at FUMSnow.com. I'm your host, Kathy Reagan Young. Jessie Ace is a podcast host, writer, public speaker, and illustrator. She's the founder of the chronic illness podcast, Disabled to Enabled, where she interviews everyone from celebrities to patient advocates and charities. She's also the founder of the empowering ENabled Warrior Tribe and her blog, JessieAce.com, where she shares tips and advice for living your best life with chronic illness. She's worked with the National MS Society, MS Trust, Shift.ms, and MS UK, and been featured on CNN, Huffington Post, Yahoo, and The Mighty, among others. She provides help and advice for people living with chronic health conditions after her own experiences of being diagnosed with MS at just 22 years old. She's on a mission to fill the internet with positivity after her doctor told her to go home and Google her condition. Unbelievable. Jessie's the author of the ENabled Warrior Symptom Tracker book, which helps you manage multiple conditions, medications, spot symptom patterns, prioritize your energy, achieve your goals, and accurately keep symptom records for your doctor. And she's here to talk about that book today. Let's go meet her. Well, hi there, Jessie Ace. How are you? Thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, it is so great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me on today.
Yeah, I've been so excited about this. This is like such a highlight of my COVID lockdown.
Oh,
And let me just say to you also that you are one of my favorite MS advocate writers too. I just love the way you write. It's so clear and it's always uplifting and interesting. And anyway, so thanks for being the advocate that you are and sharing so
thank
much
you.
information. We'll get into where to find you and your writing and your podcasting and everything else that you're doing a little bit later in the interview. But let's just start out to get to know you a little bit first. So there you were, a happy-go-lucky 22-year-old university student studying for an art degree. And this just kind of blows me away. You already had an illustration business. That's so cool. And you had a book deal. Who the hell can say that at 22 for when you graduated? And an agent to represent you at major trade shows around the world, of course. And your work was already stocked in some boutique stores while you were still in school. That's amazing. So that's kind of a prelude to who you are. You were like a rock star early on.
I'm a doer. What can I say?
Yes, you are, girl. But then it happened. Just kind of out of the blue, you were diagnosed with MS. Can you walk me through that time?
I can. Oh my God. It was crazy. So
Yeah.
picture this. So you're 22 years old, right? You're at university and is the last day of university, typically the last day of university. And I wake up and my left side is completely numb.
Ugh.
And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is insane. What is this? But like me being me, I was just like, oh, well, it's probably exhaustion. Like I've pushed myself really hard, like doing all
Right.
these things and stuff.
Yeah, you had a
So,
lot going on. I mean, university
yeah.
was enough for me, and drinking. I had to have my time. Those were my 2 things in college.
I didn't do a lot of that in my third year, I'm going to say, just because my course was full time. So that was 9 to 5 anyway.
Right.
And
So
then
you actually went to class. That's the difference between you and I, but I digress. Go ahead.
I was a goody two shoes, okay?
Oh, good for
I wasn't cool.
you.
I
Good
know,
for
I
you.
wasn't cool at all. Like first and second year, I was a little bit more like that, but third year, no, like had to work in third year.
Yeah, well, that's how you had a book deal and a business going before you even I'm sorry, go ahead. I keep
Well,
interrupting. I'm sorry. That's the way my head works. Go ahead.
it's fine. So that all that happened on the last day, and like you said, like I started an illustration business in my second year. It was kind of like part time ish during like third year
Mhm.
because everything else was just so hyper crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, like yeah, had the agent at the end, had the book deal, had work in trade shows and work in boutiques and blah 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 blah. And on the last day, I woke up and my left side was completely numb. And it was
Mm.
so strange, so weird. And like I said, like I've put it down to stress and
Right.
exhaustion. I've just been doing too much, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But me being me, I left it for a week before I went to the doctor about it. And my
Girl.
boyfriend was like, "If you still got that, like, no, you need to go to the doctor and sort that out." And I was like, "Nah, it's fine. Like,
Good
it'll
for
just be a
him.
trapped nerve or something. Like, it's no big deal. It's totally cool." He was like, "No, Jess, you really need to go to the doctor." So I got dragged over there begrudgingly. It's like I nearly cancelled it the morning of because I was just like, "No, it's getting better. It's fine."
Oh gosh.
No,
No.
go and do it. So yeah, and this doctor actually misdiagnosed me.
Oh, jeez. Perfect.
So yeah, so that was a good start.
Yeah.
So she started like prodding me with paper clips and bits of cotton wool and
Oh,
said, "Can you feel this? Can you feel this? Can you feel this?" It's like, Yeah, but no, but I don't know. I don't know how it
yeah.
feels."
Right. Yeah, that's
You
weird.
kind of think, am I going crazy? Am I like, this must just sound like I'm making it up, surely.
Right.
So she said, "No, I think it's something called a hemiplegic migraine, which is like an area of localized weakness in the body because you've been doing so much, and it'll just come back on its own in a few months' time or a few weeks' time, whatever, and it'll be fine." It's like, yay. Okay, no
Yeah.
worries. Said it was nothing.
Just what you wanted to hear. Perfect. I'll take that. Bye.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Skipped
I
out the
get
room. I
that.
was like, yeah, told you it was
Mhm.
nothing. Then I got home and she rang me back and I was like, oh
Mm.
dear, why are you ringing me?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, so I just spoke to my colleague, and my colleague said that I should probably have sent you to A&E because you actually could have had a stroke,
Oh,
and I really should
jeez.
have checked for that." I was like, "Oh my god, are you
Wow.
kidding me?" It's like I'm
Yeah.
22 years old.
Right.
How could I have like I was working hard, but I didn't think I was working that hard. Like, come on, that's just a bit much.
Right.
So yeah,
Ah.
chucked into accident and emergency, which is your ER.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you
You'd be
for
like,
clarifying.
do you know what? No, it happens like on every interview. Everybody's like, "What's A&E?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's like the ER." Oh, okay, fine.
Perfect. Thanks for the
Got used to it
clarification.
now. So yeah, and at that time, like I'd never even been in a hospital. It was crazy. Like other than to visit my grandma or something, that was kind
Mm.
of my knowledge of a hospital. So
Right.
yeah, and I'm actually pretty obsessed with things like Grey's Anatomy. And over here we have something called Casualty.
Uh-huh.
It's like hospital drama. I love it.
Oh, I do too.
So,
What is that? That I should do like a survey to see if other chronics like hospital emergency stuff,
yeah,
like if an inordinate amount like that. That'd be interesting.
it's so funny. It really is.
So you felt like you were a doctor when you went in because of Grey's
I
Anatomy and
mean,
Casualty. I get it. Me too.
not quite, but like they started putting me in like MRI machines and CT machines, and I was like, "Oh, well, that was from that episode where this happened." Oh God, that happened. So you
Right.
kind of get these false stories going on.
Yes.
Not
Where's Dr.
helpful.
Meredith Grey when you need her?
Yes, I was like, just please, just like come rushing around the corner, and like but no, that didn't quite happen that way.
Mm.
So
Mm.
yeah, so eventually, I was there for like 5 or 6 hours, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna have to admit you because we just need more tests doing and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay, fine." And they put me on the stroke ward with
Oh,
like
jeez.
60, 70, 80-year-old ladies all shouting and screaming because most of them had like dementia or Alzheimer's or something. And I was like, "Oh, this is very crazy. It's like
Oh my
bright
god,
lights and
it's like
noise."
one
Ugh.
flew over the cuckoo's nest. That's
Yeah, it
crazy.
was just, oh my goodness, it was chaos. It was absolute chaos. I was like, where am I? I was like, literally,
Yeah.
when I finished university, all I wanted to do, because I was so exhausted at that point, so exhausted, all I wanted to do was just go and watch like soap dramas on TV,
Yes.
just drink wine,
Yes.
just chill out. Like
Oh my
that was my
God.
plan for that
We could
evening.
be best friends, Jessie Ace. I love all of what you just named off, and that's been my
Oh,
reaction to COVID, frankly.
I mean, we might as well have some artificial drama, right?
Right.
So yeah, but so that was kind of it. And then 3 days later, the neurologist came over and sat on the end of my bed, drew the curtain around it, and was just like, "Look, I think it's something called multiple sclerosis. We want to do one more test to confirm it, but we think that's what it is." I was like,
Oh.
"Oh,
Had you even heard
okay."
of MS, or was
No,
that on Grey's Anatomy at that point? Had you
no,
seen
I
it
had
yet?
no idea.
Okay.
Absolutely no idea. Didn't know anybody with it or anything.
Oh,
It's just like
scary.
completely out of the blue. But the first thing that flashed through my mind was a wheelchair, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going to be in a wheelchair.
Right.
Oh my god,
Right.
this is crazy."
Right.
Because I think I'd lost my left side as well. It was just like kind of
Mm,
half confirmed it or something in my head. Like if
right.
the left half can go, then the right half can go. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Sure.
crazy. It was awful.
Yeah.
And the one test that they wanted to do was what I found out to be a lumbar puncture, which is, oh,
Woohoo!
that is a delight, isn't it?
That is the best test. That's everybody's favorite. Yep. That's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
Did you get the headache afterward?
Oh god, yes. Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness. I actually so at that time of the lumbar puncture, my boyfriend's mum was there. She was like sat over the other side of the bed, like holding my hand and stuff. And when they were doing it, they caught something in my back and my leg just flew up and just
God.
kicked her around the face. It was so bad. I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
That's hilarious. Oh my God, this just went from like a
Yeah.
docudrama to a comedy because I'm writing it in my head right now because this all sounds like it could be reality TV.
I mean,
That's
it felt like it.
hilarious.
It felt like
Yeah, a little comic relief.
it. Yeah. But then, like, the worst bit was that the neurologist actually said to me, "Look, the best thing that you can do right now is to actually go home and Google it and find out what it is for yourself."
Oh God.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Dr. Google, perfect.
Yeah, it was not good. That was the worst advice I think I've
Oh,
ever received.
shit.
So, if you're listening
That's
and you're newly diagnosed, do not do that. Just
yes.
seriously.
No kidding. In fact, that's the reason that I even started FUMS now
Yeah,
because there was nothing. There was nothing. Well, what there was horrible. It was so
yeah.
scary. So I just wanted to start it just to let people know, like, it's okay. Like, I wanted to provide a soft place to land, particularly for newbies.
Yeah, totally. And that's the reason I actually like started to listen to your podcast. That was the first one that I ever listened to. And I was just like,
Really?
oh my goodness, yes. And it helped me so, so much. I'm so grateful. And I still am to this day. Like it's
Oh,
been absolutely amazing. So like to actually be on it, I mean, I'm honored today. I hope
oh
you realize
gosh,
that.
Jessie, you're going to make me cry. Don't make me cry. That's so sweet. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. I'm so grateful that it's helped. Good. Thank you.
It did. And it inspired me to start my own podcast as well. Because I was just like, oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to
Even
interview people.
better. That's so
So
cool.
yeah. So thank you. You're
Oh, well,
amazing.
thank you. Oh my gosh, Mutual Admiration Society. Woo. Okay, so you got this diagnosis. Wait,
Mm.
so let's back up for a second. Lumbar puncture, horrible. Kicked
Mhm.
your did is that the man that you married? Was that the boyfriend that is now the husband? Or was it
It
a different one?
is,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Okay, so you
Yeah.
kicked your mother-in-law in the face before
Yeah,
you were
that'd be
even married.
awkward, wouldn't it? That would be really bad if we
Right,
didn't get together.
exactly.
Oh.
Um, and then so they how long after that, how long did you stay in there until they came and told you?
Till I stayed well, sorry.
I'm sorry, at the A&E. Did I even say that right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
after the lumbar puncture, how long did it take till they came
Oh,
in and told you? That was
3 days.
so miscommunicated. I'm sorry.
That's
Okay,
cool.
3 days.
3 days, yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, with a headache. The lumbar puncture headache too. Perfect. So then, okay, they tell you you check out. You're supposed to look on Dr. Google. That's
Mm,
horrible.
yeah.
Wow. I mean, what did
Yeah.
you do? How do you, where do you go from there? What do you do after that
Well,
diagnosis where they just tell you to check Google
just go
out?
and Google it. I know, like, oh my god, it was crazy. And I think So I didn't really immediately come across like the National MS Society or the MS Society or anything like that, which would have been really helpful.
Right.
I just kind of came across, I don't even know what I typed in to not get those results, you know.
Right.
I am quite notorious for like not Googling things to get the right results. I know that sounds really weird, but like if you tell me to Google something, then it's like I'll just go all the way around it rather than type in the most obvious sentence. That's probably why it didn't come up. But yeah. And I kind of came across all these forums and things on Facebook and things like that, and groups oh god, and it was just it was
Bad.
awful. And there's loads of bad
Yes.
advice being shared, and
Sure.
the internet told me like, oh yeah, I need to be on a diet like right away,
Oh, God.
and all this different stuff. And I was like totally freaking out. So I went on this diet, cut out like every single thing that ever brought me comfort in my diet.
Oh my
Actually.
God,
I
no.
know,
All the
so
happy
bad.
stuff was gone too.
Yeah. So I
Ugh.
just thought like, and the few weeks after I came out of hospital, I actually lost the use of my right hand as well, which was my drawing hand.
Oh, God.
So like I had two hands that were not working. I couldn't hold a pencil. I couldn't draw. So the everything that I'd set up in my illustration business was just gone overnight because I lost confidence in myself. My right hand wasn't working. And interesting fact, I had actually started illustrating a book whilst I was in hospital because I had to meet that deadline.
Oh my gosh, you are a
'Cause that's the
doer.
kind of person who I am.
Yes.
It was just a
Wow.
distraction, I think.
Yeah, well, that was
But
a good
yeah, but
one.
like everything, like the book contract, the agent, everything just was just gone. It was just gone
Oh
straight away.
God. Oh my God.
So
Oh my
yeah,
God. Wait, first of all, did you finish your education? Did you get your degree?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
I got my
good.
degree, but then it
Okay.
felt pointless because I
Right.
didn't use my hands
Yay.
anyway.
Worked my ass off
So,
for nothing.
yeah, I was like, great, what am I gonna do now?
Oh my
So yeah, it
gosh.
totally sucked. And I didn't see my MS nurse or a neurologist till about 5 months after that point.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You must have
so
been a ball of anxiety.
I was out of my mind, seriously.
I
Seriously. It got
can't even
so bad
imagine.
that at one point, like, I lived in Leicester at the time, which is like a really big city. And well, not really big in American standards, but like in English standards, kind
Right?
of big.
Yeah.
And I remember being at this road and it was like 4 lanes of traffic, really, really busy road, waiting for the lights to change. And I was just like, do you know what? It would just be so much easier if I just like
Oh.
fell forward and like just stop everything. And
Oh,
that is an awful
Jesse.
thought to have at 22 years old. And it should not have
Yes.
happened. It didn't have to be that way.
Right.
So
No
that's kind of
kidding.
what sparked this advocacy, because of
Yes.
being told to Google it.
Being told to Google it and because of the personality type, because you are
Yeah.
a doer and you had experienced this horrific lack of support.
Mm.
So that's I mean, you kinda had 2 roads to take there, and you coulda jumped into one of them, pardon the pun, but also you chose the other road where you were gonna support others, and that always feels good too, so good on you, and thanks for everything that you've done.
Thank
Tell us
you.
about your MS advocacy, efforts. I know you're obviously a writer because I just love your writing, as I said, and a podcast host and a public speaker, and of course, an illustrator. So, can you take us through each of those and how they came about and what all you do with each?
Sure, yeah. So after that point, after the diagnosis point and things, it actually took me about 4 or 5 years to actually get over that and move
Mm,
on and actually to find that positivity again.
yeah.
And I started off with, I reached out to the National MS Society. I think they were the first ones.
Mhm.
And because I was reading blogs and things on their website, and I was like, these don't relate to me at all. I just feel
Mm.
like they're written from people who are further along in their journey, or maybe they're
Uh-huh.
older than me.
Right.
And I was like, well, I can't remember how old I was at that point. Like, ugh, I don't have no idea.
Young, in your 20s.
26 ish. Like, I don't know. Like, it was a while after. And at that time, like I was getting things like a blue badge and using that for the first time and getting married and having that kind of judgment around me. And I was like, there's nobody
Mm.
writing about these things that
Right,
young people are
right.
actually going through. So I
Just to
started
be
to,
clear, excuse me for interrupting you, but a blue badge, you mean like
oh,
the
disabled.
handicapped or
Yeah.
disabled, placard like we hang in our cars?
Yeah. Like a
Okay,
parking
got it.
permit type
Got
thing.
it. I'll be Hello, I'm Kathy, and I'll be your interpreter today.
I love that.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, so I reached out to the National MS Society and I was just like, look, guys, like you're not like there's like a whole load of people that you're kind of missing out right now. And I was like, can I write you a story? Can I write you a blog? Um on, I can't even remember what it was. I think it was about losing friends after a diagnosis. I think that was the
Mm,
first one. And I was like, there's
mhm.
nobody talking about this. And it literally took 3 months of relentless emailing this
Oh
really
my
cool
god.
person called Eileen to actually get that opportunity to actually write that blog,
Oh my
which is
gosh.
crazy in itself. But like,
It
yeah.
is.
But because I managed to write a blog for the National MS Society, it was significantly easier to get in with everybody else.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of how it all started. And then after that, it was I set up the Enabled Warriors Facebook group because I wanted a positivity sort of group online where people could feel safe and just have fun and just kind of, talk about the issues that are affecting them day to day, but then have this support network around you
Yes.
of people who are going through, similar things to you and maybe have similar conditions.
Mhm.
So that was kind of my next thing.
That's great.
And then it kind of all kind of took off from there, really. It sort of snowballed. So,
Yeah. And it's
yeah.
just grown from there. That's so good.
Hmm.
Um, and what about illustrating in your MS advocacy? Where does that fall in?
So it was actually the National MS Society that convinced me to do that. And that's
Mm.
kind of how I got that first blog as well. It was like, yeah, we'll let you blog as long as you draw a picture with it. And I was like, oh. But at that time, I was like, I really felt so unconfident doing that because I thought, well, if I do that and I get into it again, I'm just going to lose the use of my hand again. And then I'm not going to be able to do
Oh
this. And then it's just going to be
gosh.
all over again. So it took me a really long time to
Yeah.
have the confidence to actually commit to that drawing sort of stage. But I'm so glad that I did because it's been awesome.
Yeah.
So it kind of
Yeah.
started with the blog, and then I've illustrated for all of the MS magazines. Um, and I recently designed a really awesome leaflet for the MS Trust to help them raise donations for their MS nurses.
Excellent.
And that was just like the most amazing thing ever,
Yeah.
you know?
That is so cool. Good for
So,
you. And good for all of us that you have shared your gift with the world and this community. And I just want to, just take a moment to note what's so important there. And that is that you were really, you knew you had this talent and you had desire, but you were scared naturally because
yeah.
the what ifs gotcha. And I always say, don't dwell on the what ifs, dwell on the possibilities. And thankfully, you just did it anyway. I assume you just did it scared, right? Like this,
Yeah.
I'm going to try it. And kind of what's the worst case scenario? What could happen? Well, I could not be able to deliver, or I could not be able to illustrate again, or whatever. But, let me do
Mm.
what I can for right now. And right now I can do it. So I just think there's a really important lesson in there too. I think a lot of people are scared, and rightfully so.
Mm.
But if you're able right now, don't worry about the future. Like, do what you
Exactly.
can right now and figure the rest out in the future. But if you can, do it now, right?
100%. Don't
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah,
You
right?
never know what's going to come. This is the thing.
Exactly.
So,
Good or bad. So, you're here to tell us today about this wonderful book that you've produced called My ENabled Warrior Symptom Tracker. So, let's start with how that was born. I'm assuming from your own experiences of people telling you to go Google shit rather than helping you. Am I right? That kind of thing,
yeah.
that kind of loving care.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And like, I remember being in this waiting room, right? Waiting for a neurology appointment. And I just I always feel really anxious when I'm waiting in the waiting room. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you go into that appointment and you sit down and the doctors start saying, okay, so when did the last relapse happen? How long ago was that? How long have you been on medication for? You had a weird feeling. Okay, when did that start? How long did that last for? And you're just like,
Mm. Right.
I don't
Frozen.
know.
Right.
It was like 2 weeks ago. What? And it
Yeah.
got really frustrating. So yeah, I was kind of like, I remember ringing up my MS nurse and I was like, well, what can I do? How can I make this easier? What does everybody else do? Do they have this as well? And she was like, people keep notebooks, so they like
Mm.
make notes of things, and then you've got something there to take with you to the appointment. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, okay, brilliant.
Mhm.
I was like, why didn't I think of that? So I like started making notes, and I read them back recently, and they're so funny. It's like 7 a.m. left hand tingling, 9:30
Mm.
a.m. right hand feels weird, things like that.
Oh,
I was like, what was I thinking? That's not
right,
good for
right,
anybody.
right, right.
and you walk into an appointment with that, and then the doctor just looks at you and goes, "Yeah, we've only got 10 minutes, right?" And you're like,
Right, exactly. I don't really need a
"Oh."
journal of your entire life since the last time I saw you.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember leaving that appointment and I was like, there has to be an easier way than this. Come on, surely. And I'm a big Pinterest lover. I love Pinterest so, so
Mhm.
much. And I found bullet journaling. And
I've
bullet
heard
journaling,
of that.
have you heard of that?
I
It's so
have.
cool. It's basically where you get like a blank sketchbook and then in this like really cool, funky kind of way, you kind of sketch out all of these like trackers and things and you track like your, I don't know, cleaning schedule or
Mm,
your fitness level or something like that, like
mm,
goals and targets and things.
right.
And for the sort of organizational part of me, I absolutely loved it completely.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is such a simple way to do these. Oh my God,
Mm.
why don't we make this for chronic illness?
Yeah.
Like, that makes so much sense.
Right. Right. You had an aha moment.
Yeah, totally. So I sketched all these things out and sent them to the enabled warriors in the group. And I was like, guys, what do you think of these? Like, are these helpful? And they absolutely loved them. And they were like,
Mm.
you should make this into a book. This is really cool. This is really helpful. And I was like, oh, cool. Okay, that's a good idea. And then I interviewed some doctors and things on my podcast. And I was like, I could get their opinions and see what they think.
Yeah.
And they were like, from a doctor point of view, we kind of need to see X, Y, Z. So that's got to be in there. I was like, okay,
Oh, how
awesome.
helpful.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So you got
and
input from patients and doctors. Perfect.
exactly. Yeah, so everything kind of was sewn together, if you like, in this big
Yes.
sort of tapestry that is chronic illness.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it became a book, and it's like my baby. It's like I'm so proud of it. It's unreal.
You should be so proud of it,
Really
girl,
proud.
and it's helping so many people. So tell everybody about what you get when you order this.
Yeah. So in this book, okay, you have everything that you basically need so that you don't have to remember things in appointments. So you've got things like your medical quick notes, as I call them, which is like a sheet where you just fill in like all the basic info before you get there, and then you can track your symptoms on like a 3-month planner,
Mm.
like a graph thing, and then you've got like a 1-month graph as well. And that's really helpful for you so you can see your progression or, if things are
Right.
getting better, if things are getting worse. And it's also helpful for your doctor because they can take one look at it and go, okay, you're on the wrong medication. You need to be on this medication because that's
Yeah.
making that worse.
Right. And I
So, yeah.
imagine it could show you kind of corollaries as well. So if you are tracking things like I don't know, exercise or nutrition and you see
Mm,
a spike in, activity level
yeah,
of your MS for instance and you go, "Oh, well, I was eating like shit for the last 2 weeks and I have
exactly.
just been laying here, so perhaps I should get off my dead ass and eat a leaf and go for a walk or something." Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's got like a food diary in it and an exercise planner and a goal tracker as well. So you can
Wow.
you can see that little spike on your graph at the start. And like you said, you can flick through the book and you can go, okay, what was my food diary like for that week? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I ate like a significant more amount of sugar or something.
Right.
Like that's
Exactly.
probably why I felt more tingly or more weak
Yes.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got daily sheets as well. So you fill these in daily, and it's got like journaling space so you can get all the thoughts out of your head and onto some paper, make it tangible. As soon as it's on paper, you just feel better, right?
Yes, what is that? Isn't that is so true. Anybody
Mm.
that isn't doing that that's listening, I'm telling you, do that. I've learned that through this COVID nightmare that, the anxiety and the constant um, voices in my head.
Mm.
That sounds a little more serious than it is. But what I mean is, it's just the constant like worry about whatever it is MS,
Yeah.
COVID, our elections in the US, whatever it is. And there's something unbelievably freeing about writing it down. It's like you release it. It's on the paper. You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it anymore. When you want to come back and look at it, you can, but you've let it go, right?
It's so true. Yeah, and it's really interesting as well when you've been doing it a few months and you kind of go back to the start and you kind of read through it again and you're like, wow, I was nervous or worried about
Right.
those are really random things. Like,
R-
why was I worried about that? It's so
Exactly.
awesome.
It's so it can inform your future in terms of, okay, I see where I was I needed to be talked off the ledge back here. But now I see that was ridiculous to worry about that. So in the future, here's my lesson. I don't need to worry about the small shit because obviously it's okay. It's always turned out okay. It will be okay in the future.
Yes, exactly. And the other parts of the daily sheets as well is these are the things that I do every day, right? So I do gratefulness every day. So you think about the things in your life that you have and that you're really, really grateful for, because that makes such a
So
huge difference and it
good.
helps to rewire your brain to think more positively. It's so weird, but it works.
It does work. I totally agree. Yes.
So good.
Yes.
So the other things as well are the top 3 priorities for the day. So do you find that sometimes, like,
Mhm.
and I do this all the time, like I have like loads of stuff that I
A
really
plan.
want to do the next day, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh my God,
Mhm.
I'm so tired today. What is going
Yes.
on?
Yes, today, as a matter of fact,
Yes,
today I have so many things on my list and I woke up exhausted. And so
exactly.
thank God for this, Jessie, because I've been so excited to talk to you. But right after this, I'm going back to bed. That's my truth.
Oh, no, don't blame me. It's fine because that would have this interview would have been on one of your top 3 priorities, right? And then as soon as
Yes.
you do those top 3, then you're like, oh, okay, I've done everything I really need to do today. I'm just going to take the day and just chill.
Perfect.
So
So it
it
really
works.
prioritizes. That's great because I think we
Yeah.
do. I find that a lot of MSers are type A's and we have so many things that we want to get done. And then you look at that long list, it's overwhelming and you feel like such a failure if you haven't gotten it done. But I love your idea. Like, take the top 3. What's most important that you get done?
Yeah,
And
totally.
then give yourself some grace on that other shit.
Mm,
Love it.
exactly.
Love it. Jessie Ace. This is awesome. That is awesome. I can see how this could be so helpful. I mean, it'll be helpful to bring this to your doctor and all of that, but just in life in general, so helpful. Really getting you organized and thinking in terms of what's important and your priorities and being grateful and, rewiring your brain for positivity. This is really super cool. Super cool. Thank you for creating it. Uh, you have such an interesting story and such a giving heart. I'm just going to share with the community that Jessie will send me these kind messages of support out of the blue. And she's helped me so much. She literally sat on a Zoom call with me one time, like for probably over an hour, and we just brainstormed on some of my FUMS and patients getting paid stuff. And I so appreciated it. You just have this giving heart, and she'll just send me, "Hey, here's a tip. Hey, have you ever thought about that?" I mean, that's just. But she has an advocate's heart for sure. So I
Oh, thank you.
appreciate you, and I appreciate all that you've done for our community. And thank you for creating such a great resource for people with chronic illness. I mean, obviously FUMS, this is for MSers, but it's great for everybody with chronic illness. And honestly, anybody, because we all need organization and we all need a place to be grateful, to remind us to be grateful and to work
Exactly.
on ourselves like this. This is great.
Totally.
So,
And we all have anxiety as well, right?
oh, yeah,
And that's
especially
the
now.
that's the main thing. It's like you can reduce your anxiety by changing the way that you think and rewiring your brain.
Yeah, that's great.
100%.
I I know you're going to help a ton of people with this book. And you've been kind enough to offer FUMS an affiliate link, which means that every time somebody purchases through this special link, FUMS will get a commission. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're
And
welcome.
thank you for what you're doing for humanity, because I just think you're kind of awesome. So that link will be in the show notes, along with all of Jessie's URLs and social links and where to find her and how to get involved and blah, 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 blah. Just go to FUMSnow.com/FUMS069 because it's the 69th episode. I can't even believe it.
Wow.
Yeah. Or if you just want to get going to ordering this wonderful resource, you can just go to FUMSnow.com/symptom tracker and get yours today. So thank you so much again, Jessie. Really appreciate you being here. And since you told me that you listen to this podcast, I think you know where this is going next, right?
I do, and I'm so excited.
Yay! Okay. So we here in the FUMS Nation speak to this stupid disease as it deserves, and we tell it FUMS every day. So, Miss Jessie Ace, would you please do us the honor of leading us in our victory chant at the count of 3? Are you ready?
Sure, go for it.
1, 2, 3.
FUMS.
Oh, I love it, and I love the accent. I love it. Thank you so much, Jessie. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for everything you do for our community.
Oh, thank you for everything you do. You're just awesome.
Thank you. Quick shout out to Steve Woodward at podcastingeditor.com for the fantastic work on this podcast, including editing, show notes, and ingenious ideas. If you'd like help with your podcast, whether you're just starting out or an old pro, visit podcastingeditor.com and tell Steve I sent you. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you listening to the FUMS podcast show. Be sure to subscribe to it so you won't miss an episode. You can do that right on the website at FUMSnow.com. While you're there, sign up for the free email list so you'll be among the first to know of any new findings in MS research, new therapies and products, as well as any blog posts and podcast episodes I release. Want to chat with others in the FUMS community? Join us on Facebook at FUMS Now. Thanks again, and don't forget to talk to the stupid disease as it deserves. Tell it FUMS every day.